with you today on this fabulous Friday, May 15th. So I'm excited about life, and hopefully I have a speech contest tonight. I have so there's an organization called Toastmasters, if anybody has ever heard of it. And I have made it to the division championship, to the division level. And so I had, I won in my club. And then I think the next one was then in my area. And then I had to go back and win whatever that next level is. And I didn't, actually came in second place. And then they called me because the first place lady couldn't do it. And so she's like, hey, you got to go to I guess this is the equivalent to the state level. And so,
anyway, Natalie, that's amazing.
Thank you. I'm really excited about it tonight because I don't think I've talked to an audience that big before. And so it'll just be interesting to see what happens to my mouth when I get up there. So
I did Toastmasters in my early 20s when I was in graduate school the first time, and it really changed my life, confidence-wise and stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, I love hearing your success in it. That's awesome.
I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited. Yeah, I'm excited. So it should be a really good weekend, right? Two of my friends are going to come with me, and so that feels really good and supportive. And also, asking for support has felt really good and supportive. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why. I feel like I've always, I don't know. I think something feels different about my age and asking for support now. And it feels really good when I ask for support and it comes in droves, which is what it felt like.
Yeah, so the payoff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And So, yeah. All right. So today, to bring it back to relevancy of sex therapy. So this is the Atlanta Sex Therapy Podcast, where we come together to hopefully talk about some topics that's important to you guys, so you get to hear it without coming to therapy. Also, so you guys can get a sense of who we are and what we think before you come into therapy. Mm-hmm. So the topic that we're going to talk about today, and it's just Amanda and I today, and I'm so excited to have her. It's been a long time since it's just been she and I.
Yes, and
so, yeah. So our topic for today is, I'm scrolling to get back to the top of it. So the top 5 sexual concerns couples bring into sex therapy. Top 5 sexual concerns couples bring into sex therapy.
Mm-hmm. We've seen these before.
Yeah. So just off the top of your head for you, Amanda, what's the top 5 concerns you see?
And I think some will probably overlap with yours, but I think challenges around sexual communication generally is a big one that we see. Because we're not taught in culture to communicate well. And when it comes to sex, that puts it into the secret off limits category. So communicating about sex is a big one. I'm seeing several clients right now who are coming to terms with the trauma experienced by one member of the relationship and how to continue living successfully together as one has to process and heal from trauma that is affecting both of them so deeply. And sometimes it's sexual trauma and sometimes it's not. So,
medical trauma. One of my clients, they're recovering from a huge medical trauma. And so, okay, go ahead.
So, recovering from trauma or other really damaging events that have happened to them. So recovering together from that and where their sex life goes. We talk to people about mechanical issues or health issues that come up with sex, chronic pain, erectile dysfunction, anorgasmia, so sort of those body issues that come into sex sometimes that we get to educate and help people work through. So that's 3. What else do we see a lot? Mismatched sex drives. That's a huge one. And hint to everybody out there, it's not always the man that has the higher sex drive. So if you're a lady out there feeling that way, you are not alone, even though culture tells you you are. And my 5th, I think, would be, this might fall under communication issues generally, but balancing their marriage in the long term. You got married at 25, your needs are different at 40. And Just because you did the dishes for the house at 25 doesn't mean you still want to do them now. And so sometimes it's sex that we're balancing and communicating about, and sometimes it's just, hey, we need to figure out how we can make our relationship work better so that we can have better sex, because nothing's working right now. That's what comes to mind for me. What about you, Natalie?
Actually, I think you named all of them. I would say mismatched libido is the highest. That's most often. And I hate when women are like, I have a low libido, as if they're broken. And first of all, I usually say, please stop comparing female libido to male libido.
Yep.
Because they are very different, biologically, hormonally, very different. And how you know this is that some women will go to their doctor and get testosterone, and it will increase their libido, because that's the hormone that does drive sex. And most women just don't have a lot of testosterone by design. And so, please, I would love for all couples in the world to not see mismatched libido as a problem. I would like you to see it as just something we got to negotiate.
Yeah.
Period. That's it. Like, how much money we're going to save. What sports are we going to let our kids play? Like, it's just something that we have to negotiate. We know we're going to come to the table with differences.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because I know what happens is, in the beginning, that new love energy, that excitement of like, oh, I found my person, often can be sometimes very different than what sex looks like in a long-term committed relationship. And so the high you felt in that dating period, you're feeling like that. I think a lot of people feel like that's their norm, or that's what, when they were working their best. That was more like a fluke. That I can't explain. That was like just like a fluke. And your norm is probably about here. And that sex in a long-term committed relationship requires intentionality. Like just about everything else in adulthood.
Yeah.
Like,
why wouldn't it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's so funny because everything in adulthood takes intentionality. So I had to figure out breakfast this morning, because apparently I only plain breakfast for 4 mornings and not 5. So I'm running a Chick-fil-A and like, did you not count the days of the week? Like, how do you not have breakfast? Like, it's just like, but everything as an adult takes such intentionality.
Yeah.
Look, when I grew up, the food was just there. I just came downstairs and it was there. And that is just not the case anymore. It's not the case anymore. Everything takes intentionality, and so does your sex life. And I think that's and I know some of you guys may have to go through a grieving process in your marriage.
Yeah.
Because you had these dreams that you'd be having sex every day, or you'd be having sex, every other day. And that's usually not sustainable in a long-term relationship, especially if you guys have kids.
Yeah.
And so knowing that, but I want this to be, hey, how do we figure this out? And to know that it's going to look very different at different stages of life.
Yeah.
And so I actually had a client one time, and she was just like, my mom and dad are having sex multiple times a week, and I just can't do that. And she's feeling very broken and everything. And I was like, whoa, let's back up. Your parents are retired and they have no children in their household. Like, they're not
all day. All day. Yeah.
All day. Like, they can do everything they want and still have energy for sex and get to bed by 9. Like, please stop comparing yourself to somebody else who's in another period of life.
Yeah.
Nobody household, it works like your household. There are all these little idiosyncrasies that will have your life be different and be different at very different time periods, right?
Absolutely.
And so just be gentle with yourself. And if you're really concerned, like come in and talk to us. So I just want to normalize all of that for people. And so it's not mismatched libido. It's just, we got to negotiate this like we need to negotiate everything else. Just one of the
no
things.
different than the thermostat in that way. Like you might not agree like every time, but you're gonna have to negotiate through it. Otherwise, you can't live together. So.
Every time my partner and I talk about like heating and air and blankets and all of that, I remember you saying, "Just get another blanket." Just another blanket.
I can't remember who gave me that advice. I think it was a pastor years ago that like solve a problem by buying another one and you have the money to do it, then just do it. Whether it's mayonnaise, blankets, you know, a throw rug in the hallway that you don't like, whatever, just buy another one.
Right, just buy another one. It was so funny because I was using like an example of negotiation last night with a couple, and I was like, it could be the ketchup. Like, some people like it in the refrigerator, some like people like it in the cabinet. And then one person's like, it goes in the cabinet. And so I was just like, and so if I could normalize, all the things in a marriage have to be negotiated pretty much. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And so I just want sex to be one of them. I think the next biggest thing for me that I see a lot is couples who just can't talk about it. They just can't talk about sex for whatever reason. So I've seen it on the extremes where they get, hold on, let me get myself back on camera while I'm using my hands, because if I'm not looking at myself, y'all won't be able to see. Like, I'll be making all.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
and it'll be off camera. Okay, so like it could. I've had both extremes. Like, they can't talk about it because it's too volatile and it's too hurtful and it's too many emotions come up. And then I've had it to the other side of, we're trying to protect each other's feelings, and it's such a nice couple and sweet couple that we're not saying what we need to say when we want to say it. And so I think that's the next, so one of the things I think we really do is just help couples talk about it out loud. I think
give them space and permission to do it. Yeah.
And I think because I feel like as a culture, we perceive that we talk about sex a lot, and sex is everywhere, and we're a sex-based culture. For the average person, they're really not talking about sex that much. Like, I don't know who these people are, who are the people who are on TV. That's it. The people who are on TV, the people who are making porn videos, we have to acknowledge that's the extreme of our culture, right? Yeah. That's the extreme of our culture. That is nowhere near the reality of what I see in my office. Nowhere near. And so couples, as you may have to learn how to talk about money. You may have to learn how to talk about your kids in sports. You're going to also have to learn how to communicate around sex and sex issues and desire. And it's not an automatic thing. It is a learned skill. But I will say a lot of couples communication is a learned skill. And where do we learn it? Our communication is usually based on the household we grew up in. I almost want you guys to envision it. And I haven't come up with this analogy before, so it might be wrong, but this is what I want you to think about it right now in my head. Because, is you grew up in a different culture than your partner with a different language. And now you guys are putting a household together, a life together. So you have to create a new culture and a new shared language. And that can be really hard. And you may need some help around that to figure it out. So cultures have come together for years. I mean, in the American culture right now, we are starting to incorporate more and more of the Spanish language inside of our language. And so even in something as simple as Cinco de Mayo, Cinco is 5 for in a Hispanic language. And so I think if we look throughout history, there have been times when cultures have not come together easily, smoothly, or well, and there have been battles that have ensued. I think a marital creating a new marital culture for that family.
Yeah.
It may have some hiccups is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say. And you got to stay with it. Like, you got to stay with it and get the help when you need it. And sex is going to be one of those harder topics to talk about. Yeah. Depending on how you were raised to talk about it. Like, if you had a very, open sexual family, then it's probably an easier topic for you.
Yeah.
But I feel confidently to say that person never marries the person that sex is easy, an easy conversation for their partner. Like, they're just right. Too much like right.
I think you're right about that.
Never happened. Opposites attract. Okay. All right, Amanda, what else is coming up for you? What do you want to say?
I love this analogy that you're giving of the languages or the cultures we're creating. I often think about it as like a tapestry we're weaving, and those are the threads that we're adding in. Is like, well, my family never talked about sex, or my family was sex positive, and I saw a video of my mom giving birth at 6, like whatever, as far as anatomy and things like that. Like, we all add our different threads to the tapestry of marriage or long-term relationships. And to your point earlier, like, so much of our work as sex therapists, and why I encourage you guys watching, if you're having trouble, come see us, is like, we can really help you sort through, like, oh, this is totally typical or normal what you're experiencing. Yeah. I know it's challenging, but here are the ways we can work on it. Versus like, no, maybe you have too high or different expectations of yourself. That's something that's realistic. I had a client once come in and tell me, like, they thought they had a really low sex drive. And I was like, tell me about it. And they were like, I'm only having sex 5 days a week. And I was like, friend, you were at the Olympic level of sexual activity. I said, and they were not young. They were in their 50s. Yeah. And I thought, so I was able to help them normalize that, like, I don't need to be having sex 14 or 15 times a week. Like, 5 is okay. Right. And I don't, I don't remember how they had come up with that idea, but, so much is a spectrum. Talking about the culture we're creating here in the United States, we talk about, like, we hold many things at once, right? So many things are a spectrum. Yeah. And sexuality is a spectrum too.
Yeah.
And I want to focus a little bit before we wrap up on our couples that are dealing with chronic illness or injury, like, in their sex lives. I'm seeing several people like that coming up right now. We are a culture that is living longer than ever. Thank God for that. We are a culture that is seeing more and more, like, repair, like, medical science has gotten to a place where somebody a generation or two ago may have lost their legs and their function from the waist down. But now we've got neuroscience and different surgeries that can restore that function, at least partially. And so I think in the next 10 to 20 years, Natalie, we're going to be seeing more and more folks who are dealing with chronic illness or chronic pain and injury that's affecting their sex lives. And I want to encourage people watching. We've talked before on our lives, like, this is a topic that's very close to my heart, like this sort of these challenges that couples face or individuals face. Like, please don't let desperation or grief settle in too much without coming to talk to one of us.
Yeah.
Their sex therapist. I've seen that grief firsthand several times in the last 2 weeks with my clients. But I want folks to know that there are ways to have sex that you've never thought of before. Like, let us be the experts and guide you a little bit on resources that you can look at and try. You don't have to give up your marriage or your intimacy because of chronic pain or because of cancer. Because of any number, old age, we can still have healthy sexual relationships into our 80s and 90s. It might be intercourse, it might not. And so I want, like, as we expand our definitions of, like, what's typical or normal, as we expand our spectrums in culture and in psychotherapy, like, I want to include those folks who have chronic pain and illness. You're not alone. Like, something like 1 in 2 or 1 in 3 people live with a chronic disease by the time they're 70 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it might be blood pressure, or it might, but blood pressure affects sex. It might be they have glaucoma. Well, the pressure of your eyes can affect how you see and how you get through the world.
Yeah.
this is not going away,
No.
but we have training, we have experience, we do the research when you're sleeping at night, when we're trying to figure out a problem, to help you like be with and be best, like be with yourself and with your partner and be the best version you can be that makes you happy. So that's my soapbox today. Like, don't
no, I get it. I definitely get it. And it's such a huge win because that has been a conversation this week as well, kind of grieving the sex life that they thought they'd have and embracing the sex life that you do have. And one of the things about a trauma, a chronic illness life, if we aren't careful, if we don't get sometimes outside thoughts, we will be stuck looking at what we lost.
100%.
And when it comes to sexual functioning, I want you to look at all of the other different areas of what you can do now. Like what's possible. And sometimes it just takes help. It just takes a little help for you to now stop saying, okay, this is what I lost and I'm grieving that, to move to, okay, but I can do this and I can do this and I can do this and this can be done. And oh, wow, look at what we can do now. And I think there's such an opportunity for you to find a deeper, richer, intimate connection, because it's one thing to just start having a great sex life. It's one thing to have a great sex life, get battle tested, and come out on the other end with an even better, deeper, more connected sex life. And so I'm really, because when I've seen it happen, and I've seen it happen where a couple made it to the other side, and the connection is so much deeper. Like the emotional intimacy is so much deeper, which is so much more beautiful for physical connection. So, okay. Well, thank you for talking to me, Amanda, today. You have a great and wonderful day. Enjoy the sun, because I was out as I went to Chick-fil-A for breakfast. It was out, and it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. So go have a beautiful day. Bye, everybody. We'll see you guys next time.
Have a good weekend, y'all. Bye.
Bye.